One morning after a night of drinking, a young woman named Jiang-in rushed out of her house. She stumbled to a nearby pharmacy at the intersection. Feeling both awkward and embarrassed, she bought some hangover medicine and asked for a hair tie to pull her hair back. Time was tight, and she hurried to get ready for work. But the most embarrassing situation was that she had forgotten her wallet. Jiang-in tried calling her friend, Yongju, several times, but it seemed she was still asleep. Left with no other choice, Jiang-in confessed her predicament to the pharmacist, hoping for some understanding. The pharmacist was a young man with a gentle and refined appearance. Instead of making things difficult, he not only told her she could pay later, but also dipped into his own pocket to cover the cost of the medicine. He even gave her extra money for a taxi. To show her sincerity, Jiang-in asked for his phone number. Thanks to the name tag on his white polo shirt, she learned his name was Jai-ho. In the taxi, Yongju finally answered her phone and said she had found Jiang-in's wallet. Yongju asked if she should bring it to the pharmacy to pay for her. Jiang-in paused for a moment, then told her friend just to keep it safe and that she would go back and pay herself that evening. On the surface, it seemed like she didn't want to bother her friend, but in reality, she had a little scheme of her own. Jai-ho's kindness had stirred an unfamiliar feeling within Jiang-in. She couldn't quite define it yet. After hanging up the phone, Jiang-in mumbled a few numbers and, to her own surprise, accurately entered Jai-ho's phone number into her contacts without looking. Even she was amazed at how well she remembered it. During her lunch break, Jiang-in told her coworker about her encounter with Jai-ho that morning, saying it felt like fate. Her coworker bluntly commented that it was probably because her current relationship was so boring that she was easily captivated by a chance encounter. Her coworker was right. Jiang-in was in a stable, long-term relationship with Gi-seok. But that stability felt more like boredom, a calm so stagnant that there wasn't a ripple in sight. Their relationship had reached the point of discussing marriage. However, when Gi-seok proposed, Jiang-in had remained silent and avoided giving him an answer. That evening, on her way to Yongju's apartment to retrieve her wallet, Jiang-in passed by the pharmacy. It was closed, the lights were off, and no one was there. Meanwhile, in the same building where Yongju lived, Jai-ho was hanging out with his friends. They were talking about a senior member of their amateur basketball team. He was a skilled player and the son of a director at a financial firm. His girlfriend was equally impressive, the daughter of a school principal. In short, he was the kind of person everyone admired. From this conversation, the topic shifted to Jai-ho's love life. His friends urged him to stop just running back and forth between the pharmacy and the basketball court and to take some time to find a suitable girlfriend. Even though Jai-ho's family situation was a bit complicated, it wasn't his fault. The complicated situation they referred to was the fact that Jai-ho had a child out of wedlock. That night, after his friends left, Jai-ho checked his phone and saw a message from Jiang-in asking for his bank account information. Jai-ho hesitated for a long time but ultimately didn't reply. Later that night, Jai-ho left his apartment to visit his parents and see his son, Yoon-woo. At the same time, Gi-seok's parents were worried because the marriage talks between him and Jiang-in hadn't progressed. They began putting pressure on Jiang-in's father. So, Jiang-in's father found an opportunity to call Jiang-in and her older sister home for dinner. Her older sister was a famous television announcer. She had married what seemed like the ideal husband and currently managed a hospital. But no one knew that the couple was on the verge of divorce. During dinner, Jiang-in's father demanded that she finalize her marriage with Gi-seok within the year. However, Jiang-in vehemently protested. She used her older sister as an example, declaring that she didn't want to end up like her, forced into a major life decision like marriage by her family. That night, heavy snow began to fall. Jiang-in braved the blizzard and went to the pharmacy to repay the money she owed. She didn't forget to lightly scold Jai-ho for not giving her his bank account information. When Jai-ho saw Jiang-in again, he looked genuinely happy. Unexpectedly, he suggested they have a meal together. The invitation was so sudden that Jiang-in was caught off guard. Maintaining a playful air of aloofness, she declined, saying she didn't dine with people she wasn't close to. He smiled again, pointing out that she remembered his phone number, so how could they not be close? Jiang-in stubbornly insisted it was simply due to her exceptional memory. Then, she turned and left the pharmacy. But 3 times, she glanced back. Inside, Jai-ho thought for a long moment. Finally, he decided to follow her. It was clear he felt something special for Jeong-in too. Perhaps this time, he wanted to take the initiative. But unfortunately, they passed each other in a moment of missed connection, filled with regret. That night, Jeong-in went to Young-ju's apartment again. As they were receiving a food delivery, Jeong-in was surprised to see Jai-ho walking up the stairs. Astonished, she asked him how he knew she was there and suspiciously questioned whether he was following her. Jai-ho didn't say anything, just quietly continued up the stairs and unlocked his door. Jeong-in realized she had made an unreasonable fuss, but she couldn't help but be surprised by this fateful coincidence. She hadn't realized he lived directly above Young-ju. Later, Jeong-in asked Young-ju about the man upstairs. Young-ju jokingly remarked that becoming curious about someone was a dangerous sign and warned Jeong-in not to do anything foolish, like cheating on her boyfriend. When Jeong-in left, she sent Jai-ho an apologetic text message. This message rekindled Jai-ho's courage. He texted back, suggesting they meet at the pharmacy. During this meeting, they didn't deny the mutual attraction and openly shared their relationship statuses. Jeong-in revealed she was about to get married, and Jai-ho disclosed that he had a child. Upon hearing this, Jai-ho expressed regret and apologized for misinterpreting his feelings. Jeong-in suggested they could be friends, but Jai-ho declined. He said he couldn't be friends with a woman who made his heart flutter. The next day, Jeong-in's younger sister insisted on going out. The two sisters decided to visit their father's school. Coincidentally, an alumni basketball game was taking place that day, and Jai-ho was rumored to be one of the players. Jeong-in spotted Jai-ho on the court. Seeing the woman he liked cheering from the sidelines boosted his confidence immensely. He made several impressive shots in a row. Even Jeong-in's younger sister noticed Jai-ho, commenting on how attractive he was. Jeong-in tried to appear indifferent, but her eyes couldn't stay away from him, constantly following his movements. After the game, the players had a small gathering. Jeong-in and her sister joined them. During the meal, Gi-seok occasionally put his arm around Jeong-in, wanting to display their affection in front of everyone. But Jeong-in appeared uncomfortable and repeatedly brushed his arm away. After the meal, the group decided to go to karaoke. Jeong-in and Jai-ho coincidentally chose the same song, prompting everyone to encourage them to sing a duet. However, before they could start singing, Jai-ho received a phone call and hurriedly left the karaoke room. Jeong-in only sang a few lines before losing interest and quickly skipped the song. Later, she tried to discreetly ask his friends what had happened to Jai-ho. They only vaguely replied that there was a family emergency. By then, Jai-ho had rushed to the emergency room. Fortunately, Yoon-woo only had mild gastroenteritis. Jai-ho reassured his parents and told them to go home and rest, while he stayed to take care of his son. Ever since Jai-ho's abrupt departure, Jeong-in's mood had plummeted. Even her younger sister noticed and wondered why she was suddenly upset. Jeong-in didn't answer, just silently stared at her phone, hoping for a message from Jai-ho. But apart from messages from Gi-seok, she received nothing else. For the next few days, Jai-ho stayed by Yoon-woo's side, caring for him. Jai-ho's mother brought him food and took the opportunity to ask about his love life. She advised him that he was still young and shouldn't close himself off to relationships because of his child. If he found the right woman to marry, they could even help raise Yoon-woo together. Jai-ho just smiled faintly and said he hoped his fate would arrive soon. Busy caring for Yoon-woo, Jai-ho missed this week's basketball game. Gi-seok, curious, asked about Jai-ho's situation. Another former classmate explained that Jai-ho had a secret. He had a child. He recounted that while Jai-ho was in college, he had a girlfriend. After discovering she was pregnant, she didn't tell Jai-ho but quietly disappeared. She only reappeared close to her due date. They had planned to get married after the child was born. But after the baby arrived, the woman abruptly left without a word. Jai-ho was devastated, taking a break from school to search for her everywhere. He finally learned that she had left the country long ago. Gi-seok was stunned by the story, feeling sorry for Jai-ho. But his friend didn't see it that way, figuring Jai-ho simply had a child, and his life wasn't all that bad. Gi-seok disagreed. What woman would want to date a man with a young child? After a few days without hearing from Jai-ho, Jeong-in started to worry. After work on Sunday, she took a cab to Jai-ho's pharmacy. She lingered at the entrance, peering in, when Jai-ho unexpectedly appeared right behind her. They went to a cafe and sat down to talk. Jai-ho seemed reluctant to be seen with Jeong-in in public. He explained that, as a single father, any woman who chose him would be judged by others. Jai-ho's family didn't want Jeong-in to be the subject of gossip. Jai-ho's almost humbling concern touched Jeong-in's heart. She reiterated her offer to be friends, saying she didn't care about what others thought. Jai-ho considered it for a moment, then agreed. Meanwhile, Gi-seok's father continued to pressure Jeong-in's father, urging them to finalize the marriage arrangements. Exasperated, Jeong-in's father arranged a meeting with Gi-seok without telling her. Upon learning this, Jeong-in became irritable. She knew the meeting would inevitably revolve around marriage. This time, Gi-seok was confused. He didn't understand Jeong-in's aversion to marriage. Or was it simply that she didn't want to marry him? After posing this question, Gi-seok suggested they have an honest conversation. He postponed the meeting with Jeong-in's father and went to her house after work. He wanted to know the real reason for her hesitation, but Jeong-in couldn't articulate it. Finally, she asked Gi-seok to give her more time to think. Gi-seok's intuition told him Jeong-in might be considering breaking up. But seeing her avoid the issue, he sighed and agreed to her request. He hoped that during this time, she wouldn't make a decision he'd regret, especially since their marriage was highly anticipated by both families. Just as she entered this period of strained silence with Gi-seok, Jeong-in received a text from Jai-ho. He planned to bring his son, Yoon-woo, to the library where she worked to find some books about dinosaurs. Jeong-in was immediately thrilled and prepared a dinosaur comic book. She even freshened up in the restroom, eagerly awaiting Jai-ho and his son. When she met Yoon-woo, Jeong-in playfully called his name and asked him to guess who she was. To her surprise, Yoon-woo immediately replied, "Mom." Yoon-woo's answer embarrassed Jai-ho. He immediately pulled his son aside, scolding him. In contrast, Jeong-in gently comforted Yoon-woo, giving him the dinosaur comic she had prepared. After calming the boy down, Jeong-in pulled Jai-ho aside. She believed Yoon-woo's response wasn't wrong. Rather, Jai-ho's reaction was overblown. She advised him to apologize to his son. Jai-ho nodded in agreement. Jeong-in's kindness and understanding, once again, left a deep impression on him. Soon after, Jai-ho took Jeong-in's advice and sincerely apologized to his son. After leaving the library, Jeong-in gave Yoon-woo a lot of books, and Jai-ho sent her a thank you message. He expressed his gratitude for the books and for her accepting his friendship. Reading the message, Jeong-in couldn't suppress a happy smile. It felt like the flutter of a budding romance. That evening, Gi-seok stopped by Jai-ho's pharmacy. He wanted to buy some supplements to help Jeong-in relieve stress. Knowing they were for Jeong-in, Jai-ho deliberately lowered the price for Gi-seok. However, upon hearing Gi-seok mention his proposal to Jeong-in, Jai-ho's mood immediately darkened. Late that night, he sat alone in a cafe, immersed in sadness. Perhaps he and Jeong-in were truly not meant to be. As for Gi-seok, after bringing the supplements to Jeong-in, he mentioned Jai-ho in their conversation. In Gi-seok's eyes, Jai-ho was a pitiful man, a single father. He suggested that if Jai-ho wanted to find a partner, it would likely be someone divorced or in a similar situation. These words made Jeong-in uncomfortable. To her, Jai-ho being a single father wasn't a flaw. He didn't deserve to be burdened by prejudice or pity. Gi-seok quickly noticed Jeong-in's unusual attitude but didn't understand the reason. However, he knew a crack had formed in their relationship. After Gi-seok left, Jeong-in called Jai-ho to thank him. She knew he had given Gi-seok a discount on the supplements because of her. This was their first phone conversation, and Jeong-in's voice delighted Jai-ho. They laughed and talked like a couple in love. But when the call ended, Jai-ho felt empty. His friends advised him to quickly find a woman to build a family with, at least for his son's sake. But Jai-ho replied that he didn't need a nanny to care for his son. He needed a woman who made his heart flutter. That woman had already appeared in Jai-ho's life. When his friends inquired who she was, Jai-ho just smiled vaguely, not answering directly. After the gathering, Jai-ho immediately called Jeong-in. Upon receiving the call, Jiang-in couldn't help but rush outside. They stood on opposite sides of the street, their eyes meeting. Jiang-in asked Jai-ho why he called. He sincerely replied that he just wanted to hear her voice. Jiang-in reminded him they were just friends, but Jai-ho quickly assured her he wouldn't cross the line. However, now Jiang-in was the one hesitating, because she wasn't sure what constituted crossing the line between them. As they moved closer, despite something holding them back, both were caught in conflicting thoughts. One, a woman about to be married. The other, a single father. Their circumstances both drew them together and prevented them from taking another step. That night, Jiang-in drank herself into a stupor, then wallowed in sadness at home. Perhaps both were regretting, wondering, if they had met sooner, would things be different? That evening, Jiang-in drove to pick up her fiancé, Gi-seok, from work. While chatting with colleagues, Gi-seok heard the recent rumors about Jai-ho. People were saying Jai-ho seemed to have a woman in his life, and everyone was curious about her identity. Jiang-in listened silently, lacking the courage to admit that she was that woman. That night, Gi-seok prepared a romantic candlelit dinner with Jiang-in. However, Jiang-in appeared disinterested. Gi-seok brought up marriage again, but Jiang-in became slightly annoyed. Gi-seok, sensing something amiss, asked if she had another man in her heart. Jiang-in hesitated for a few seconds, then softly replied, no. However, her hesitant response made Gi-seok suspicious. He pressed further, and Jiang-in, as if hiding something, still firmly insisted there was no one else. On the other side, Jai-ho's friends kept asking about the special woman he'd mentioned. He only told them she was amazing, and that he wanted to define their relationship before his feelings got too overwhelming. However, his friends easily noticed the preoccupation in his eyes. Clearly, he was deeply immersed in her gentle world. Sure enough, the next morning, Jai-ho went to the library where Jiang-in worked. Among the bookshelves, he stole glances at the woman he adored, like a schoolboy with a secret crush. Jiang-in noticed his gaze, but as she stepped out from the shelves to find him, she ran into Gi-seok. Jiang-in seemed a little flustered by Gi-seok's sudden appearance. Meanwhile, Jai-ho was hidden behind a bookshelf, watching the scene unfold. After appeasing Gi-seok, Jiang-in immediately called Jai-ho. However, he had already slipped away quietly, leaving no trace. Jiang-in wanted to look for him, but he refused. He knew if she came to him then, they wouldn't be able to escape the deepening, irredeemable feelings between them. While driving Jiang-in home, she spotted Jai-ho crossing the street. Gi-seok didn't notice, but Jiang-in saw him clearly. Her attention was completely focused on Jai-ho. Seeing Jiang-in with Gi-seok, Jai-ho could only offer a polite greeting before quickly turning away to avoid them. Jiang-in asked Gi-seok if he would be okay with her meeting male friends alone. She emphasized the male part intentionally. Gi-seok didn't immediately grasp her meaning. He knew she had a strong personality and didn't like to be controlled, which he appreciated. When Gi-seok confessed his love for her, Jiang-in remained silent. Arriving home, Jiang-in invited Gi-seok in, but he asked if her younger sister was home. If she was, he wouldn't come up. Jiang-in felt angry. Did Gi-seok only see her as a means to an end? Gi-seok was confused. His girlfriend had been getting angry for seemingly no reason lately. Had their relationship really deteriorated so much? Back at her apartment, Jiang-in called her older sister, choking back tears as she asked if she could betray Gi-seok. Her sister sensed her turmoil and simply advised her to follow her heart. As her sister, she wanted her to be happy. Her colleagues noticed Jiang-in was off lately. When asked, she simply said she felt confused, unsure whether to choose the risky path or the safe one. In reality, Jiang-in was deceiving herself. When Jai-ho brought his son to the children's reading area of the library, Jiang-in lingered nearby, seemingly waiting for him to appear. Every night, she couldn't help but walk past Jai-ho's pharmacy. Even before going home, she would pause to look at the light in his apartment. Jai-ho did the same. He often stood looking at Jiang-in's window. The light had become the only way he could express his longing. Lately, Jai-ho frequently skipped lunch, staring blankly out the window. His colleagues realized he was grieving over a woman and advised him to at least live for himself, not to wait until it was too late to have regrets. Jai-ho understood their words. But adult love wasn't that simple. One evening, Yongju came to the pharmacy to buy medicine. Jai-ho couldn't stop asking about Jeong-in. He wanted to know how she was doing. Learning that Jai-ho had asked Yongju about her, Jeong-in didn't know whether to be sad or happy. She also heard that Jai-ho often bought boxed meals from a convenience store. Subconsciously, she started going to the same store, as if that was the only way to feel closer to him. Meanwhile, Gi Seok's father was pressuring him. When he had initially approved of Gi Seok's relationship with Jeong-in, he had hoped to leverage her family connections. Now that the relationship held no value, he demanded Gi Seok end it. However, for the first time, Gi Seok showed firmness. He said he wouldn't break up with Jeong-in, but would marry her. Even so, marriage was a matter for both families. When Gi Seok's brother-in-law visited, he inquired about their wedding plans. He noticed Gi Seok's eagerness to marry, while Jeong-in seemed less hurried. The brother-in-law suggested they brainstorm ways to help Gi Seok persuade Jeong-in. Jeong-in's father, overhearing this, immediately declared his intention to pressure her into agreeing. However, her older sister couldn't contain her anger. She felt their father had ruined her own marriage and was now trying to destroy her younger sister's happiness. Meanwhile, Jeong-in tried to control herself, to not think about Jai-ho. She avoided him, but sometimes the more she tried to suppress her feelings, the less control she had. One evening, Jeong-in discovered that the nutritional supplements she'd intended to give Jai-ho had been given away by her younger sister. This seemed like a good excuse to see him. She texted Jai-ho asking if his pharmacy was open. He was having dinner with friends when he saw her message. He hesitated for a moment before replying that it was. Almost simultaneously, Jeong-in and Jai-ho rushed towards the pharmacy. Jai-ho, clearly anticipating her arrival, hurried back and stayed inside, having secretly hoped for this. Finally, Jeong-in arrived, using the repurchase of supplements as a pretext to talk to him. At that moment, Gi Seok received a playful call from a friend, urging him to bring his future wife along. Gi Seok saw this as a chance to mend things with Jeong-in, but as expected, she declined, claiming she was going to her sister's. She then refused his offer to drive her there. On the other end of the line, Gi Seok's disappointment was evident. Jai-ho then handed Jeong-in a piece of paper, saying he'd drive her home if she agreed. However, a call from a technician interrupted the romantic moment. As she was about to leave, Jai-ho wanted to confess his feelings, but the noise from construction outside the pharmacy interrupted him. Despite this, they both understood each other's feelings. Jeong-in got into Jai-ho's car, and he finally admitted his affection for her. Jeong-in smiled with relief. She felt fortunate to have met him. Jai-ho didn't want what wasn't his, but hoped to steal visits with her. Hearing this, Jeong-in protested, calling his request selfish. When he stole glances at her, she couldn't help but want to reciprocate. He asked her again if she would allow him to be selfish just once. Faced with this direct question, Jeong-in once again avoided answering. Meanwhile, her parents worried about her marriage prospects. Her father wanted to push her to marry Gi Seok as soon as possible, while her mother cautiously probed her daughter's thoughts. During their conversation, Jeong-in inadvertently revealed her uncertainty about marrying Gi Seok. Her mother sensed her daughter's hesitation and remarked that after so many years with Gi Seok, it wouldn't be easy to break things off. The next evening, Gi Seok took Jeong-in to dinner. He brought up marriage again, but she became upset, and they ended up arguing. Perhaps to mask her own insecurities, Jeong-in blamed his family's disapproval of her. They parted on bad terms. Though both tried to suppress their longing for each other, the suppression often backfired. Afterwards, Jai-ho couldn't stop thinking about Jeong-in. Whenever someone came to the pharmacy for hangover remedies, he would drift off, remembering his first encounter with her there. After the argument, Jeong-in finally decided to break up with Gi Seok. Yongju agreed with her decision, but warned that if Gi Seok discovered her emotional infidelity, especially with someone he knew, it would deeply wound his pride. Yongju cautioned that he would never let her go. She assumed Jeong-in would go to Jai-ho after the breakup, but Jeong-in shook her head. She lacked the confidence to be with him. Love was often like this. The more one tried to sever it, the more tangled it became. A friend casually mentioned Gi Seok and his long-term girlfriend, noting they'd been together for years, always talking about marriage, but never taking the plunge. Perhaps the length of the relationship made marriage itself more daunting. Hearing this, Jai-ho felt angry. He thought Gi Seok wasn't taking his girlfriend seriously. Jeong-in's younger sister also heard the news and knew that Jai-ho had a girlfriend he deeply cared for. This was the first time Jeong-in had seen Jai-ho so interested in a woman. Back home, her sister told Jeong-in all about it, mentioning how Jai-ho hadn't shown much interest in women before. But this time, he had completely fallen head over heels. Jeong-in didn't respond, not just because of Jai-ho, but because she herself was caught in the same web of emotions. Jeong-in's older sister's husband recently planned to expand his hospital and had taken out a loan from the bank. The person in charge of handling his loan was Gi Seok. He had initially taken some loan-related documents and hinted at facilitating Jeong-in's marriage. Upon hearing this, Gi Seok readily agreed and promised to expedite the loan process. Jeong-in couldn't stop thinking about Jai-ho. She called him several times, but he didn't answer, still angry. Jeong-in went directly to his door, wanting to know why he wasn't answering her calls. But when faced with Jeong-in, Jai-ho reacted calmly, as if nothing had happened. This saddened Jeong-in deeply. It wasn't that he didn't care, it was that he cared too much. But there was no future for them, and it would be better to pretend they never knew each other. However, as Jai-ho was about to continue, Jeong-in suddenly started crying and covered his mouth. At that moment, all of Jai-ho's feigned indifference crumbled. Late that night, Jai-ho took Jeong-in out for noodles. Though he didn't want to burden her, he couldn't resist the woman before him. After the noodles, they went for coffee, finally voicing their inner thoughts. Jai-ho desperately wanted to follow his heart, but knew that indulging himself would only deepen their entanglement and multiply their pain. He didn't want Jeong-in to suffer because of him. He told her not to seek him out anymore. They would be just friends, occasionally sharing a meal, occasionally checking in. But Jeong-in was never one to listen easily. Only when Jai-ho said he wasn't good enough for her did she fall silent. On the way back, they walked in silence. Jai-ho watched Jeong-in's retreating figure, his heart heavy with sorrow. He believed their connection had ended there. But life is unpredictable. Jeong-in saw Jai-ho at her front door, inviting him and his friend inside. Upon hearing the news, Jeong-in rushed home to clean and eagerly awaited his arrival. When Jai-ho arrived, though they tried to act like mere acquaintances, the sweet atmosphere between them was undeniable. It was Jai-ho's first time at Jeong-in's house. The underlying tension was palpable. Just as the air grew thick with unspoken feelings, Gi Seok suddenly called Jeong-in. Right in front of Jai-ho, Jeong-in broke up with Gi Seok over the phone. Hearing this sudden breakup, Jai-ho was at a loss, quietly excusing himself. On the other end of the line, Gi Seok pressed for a reason, but Jeong-in simply said there wasn't one and hung up. When she opened the door, she saw Jai-ho hadn't left. The woman he loved had just broken up with her boyfriend. While seemingly good news, it only deepened Jai-ho's confusion. Jeong-in felt the same way. Compared to before the breakup, the situation now felt even more chaotic and uncertain. Unaware of anything, Jeong-in asked Jai-ho about the woman he liked. He described her as someone very foolish. During their visit, Jai-ho's young son, Yoon-woo, called. Jeong-in told Jai-ho to take the call in her room. It was Jai-ho's first time in her room. As he spoke to his son, Jeong-in quietly tidied the scattered clothes. Clever Yoon-woo guessed his dad and the lady from the library were together and asked to speak with her. Jeong-in's voice softened as she talked to Yoon-woo, offering some comfort to Jai-ho as a father. The evening had begun with a subtle romantic tension. Unexpectedly, Gi Seok showed up, demanding to see Jeong-in alone. Seemingly afraid Gi Seok would discover Jai-ho's presence, Jeong-in opened the door when she heard the commotion outside. Unfortunately, she revealed Jai-ho's shoes, upsetting Gi Seok. Jeong-in explained that the person inside was a guest, preventing Gi Seok from barging in. After Gi Seok left, Jai-ho and his friend also departed. That night proved to be a sleepless one for Jeong-in, Jai-ho, and Gi Seok. Jai-ho's co-workers at the pharmacy noticed his change in demeanor. They remembered a cheerful, carefree, and easygoing Jai-ho. But since becoming a father, he had become quiet and pensive. His co-worker advised him that no one can live life strictly according to plan, but that shouldn't lead to pessimism. Jai-ho confided in his co-worker about a woman he deeply cared for, but recent events made him feel he couldn't continue down that path. he didn't want to hurt her. His coworker countered that love isn't charity work. Bearing the burden alone is foolish and selfish. If possible, he urged Jai-ho to return to his former, carefree self. Meanwhile, Jeong-in's mother began pressuring her to get married. Her father, a principal nearing retirement, and Gi-seok's father, an engineering director, were planning to secure a position for their in-laws within the corporation. Marrying Gi-seok was clearly a beneficial transaction. But Jeong-in, with her strong personality, insisted she would never become a victim of a marriage like her sister's. Yong-ju, Jeong-in's sister, warned her against letting Gi-seok discover her emotional infidelity, as it would make breaking up even more difficult. But sometimes, the more you try to hide something, the more likely it is to be discovered. That evening, Jai-ho, while meeting friends, unexpectedly ran into Gi-seok. Gi-seok recognized Jai-ho's shoes and grew suspicious. He used the excuse of sharing a meal to probe further. Throughout the dinner, Gi-seok kept staring at Jai-ho, finally unable to contain himself and asking if Jai-ho had been at Jeong-in's house that night. Jai-ho admitted it. From Jai-ho's answers and his reactions, Gi-seok deduced that Jai-ho was in love with his girlfriend. Gi-seok's displeasure became evident, and Jai-ho didn't back down. Sharp words were exchanged, creating a tense atmosphere. Soon, Jeong-in's sister learned about the encounter and immediately guessed the connection between Jeong-in and Jai-ho. Jeong-in didn't deny it. Her sister reminded her that Gi-seok and Jai-ho were now directly confronting each other, advising her to call Gi-seok to gauge the situation. Jeong-in followed her advice and called Gi-seok, asking him to come over. When Gi-seok received the call, he deliberately acted happy in front of Jai-ho. However, as he was about to leave, Jai-ho suddenly fixed him with a hostile stare and challenged him to call his girlfriend over a clear provocation. Fortunately, their friends intervened. Both men understood each other's intentions and avoided a physical altercation. Back home, Jeong-in's sister retracted her earlier breakup advice, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, offering her support. Perhaps spurred by the appearance of a rival, Gi-seok became even more eager to marry and treated Jeong-in with increased attentiveness and tenderness. Faced with this situation, Jeong-in felt miserable, unsure how to face her boyfriend or Jai-ho. Worried about hurting Jai-ho, she called him. As always, Jai-ho feigned indifference, pretending to be unaffected. On the other hand, Gi-seok's father suddenly sought out his son and changed his demeanor, expressing his desire to meet his future daughter-in-law as soon as possible. His father's words put Gi-seok in a difficult position. He wanted to introduce Jeong-in to his father, but their relationship was currently strained. The next day, after a basketball game, Gi-seok offered Jai-ho a ride. In the car, Gi-seok frankly told Jai-ho that even if his girlfriend betrayed him, he wouldn't let her go easily, as they had been together for many years. At that moment, Jai-ho's phone rang. Without hesitation, he answered the call right in front of Gi-seok. When Jeong-in realized he was with Gi-seok, she tried to hang up, but Jai-ho stopped her, telling her not to disconnect. After ending the call, Jai-ho abruptly got out of the car and rushed towards Jeong-in, who, unable to resist, ran towards him as well. They sat together on a park bench under the moonlight and talked. Jai-ho openly confessed his feelings. He was falling deeper in love with Jeong-in, a woman who left him bewildered. However, he was also acutely aware that his presence was a burden to her. Finally, Jai-ho offered a solution. If, after a long time, Jeong-in still loved him, he would wait for her, no matter how long it took. Late at night, Jai-ho dropped Jeong-in off at her home. As he turned to leave, Jeong-in suddenly ran after him. She promised to maintain her distance from Jai-ho from now on, but if it meant waiting a long time to be together, she hoped that he wouldn't fall for another woman in the meantime. This woman, she knew, had a hold on him. In the quiet night, Jai-ho embraced Jeong-in for the first time. He promised to wait for her, no matter how long it took. On his way home, he took a picture of fallen cherry blossom petals and sent it to Jeong-in. It was a testament to their shared waiting. Elsewhere, after playing basketball with his friends, Jai-ho went out to dinner with them. Among the group was In-yi, a close friend, who criticized Gi-seok for assuming Jai-ho only had a one-sided crush on his girlfriend, unaware that she reciprocated Jai-ho's feelings. Gi-seok had pulled In-yi aside and told him to warn Jai-ho to stay away from his girlfriend. That evening, In-yi asked Jai-ho about the situation. Jai Ho openly admitted his relationship with Jiang In, telling his friends that they were in love. His friends expressed their concern, advising him to resolve the situation quickly, as Jai Ho had a child and Jiang In had a boyfriend. Jai Ho understood, but he had known about Jiang In's boyfriend from the beginning. If he could have given up, he would have done so long ago. Meanwhile, Jiang In also had dinner plans with her boyfriend, Gi Seok. Despite promising to make a fresh start, he was constantly preoccupied with parties and even cancelled their date to attend a gathering, leaving Jiang In furious. She decided to seek solace in her best friend, Yongju, but as she arrived at Yongju's building, she ran into Jai Ho and two of his friends. Jai Ho's friends assumed she was there to see him, and they were right. Jiang In pulled Jai Ho away for a meal, returning to the same noodle restaurant they had visited before. This time, she ordered 2 large bowls of noodles. Although Jai Ho had already eaten, he watched her affectionately as she ate. Jiang In shared some of her noodles with him, and he didn't hesitate to eat from her chopsticks. Jai Ho's mother brought Yunwoo to the pharmacy to visit him. Worried that her son would never marry, she tentatively mentioned wanting to set him up with someone. Jai Ho confessed that he already had someone he liked, surprising and delighting his mother. She didn't press him for details, not wanting to burden him. From that night on, phone calls became a nightly ritual for Jai Ho and Jiang In. Jiang In promised him that she would come to him without causing either of them pain. Meanwhile, Jai Ho kept his hopes and anticipation close to his heart. They were determined to work towards a future together. To see Jiang In more often, Jai Ho started bringing Yunwoo to the library where she worked. There, they ran into Yongju, Jiang In's best friend. Having only met Yunwoo briefly before, Yongju had assumed he was Jai Ho's nephew, now realizing that he had never revealed to anyone that he was a single father. The next day, Jiang In and Gi Seok met at a cafe. Gi Seok expressed his feelings and his genuine desire to be with her, but Jiang In remained silent, simply listening. Afterwards, she told him that his father wanted to meet her. She agreed to the meeting, but insisted on going alone, without Gi Seok. The day of the meeting, Jiang In carefully applied her makeup and dressed thoughtfully. This was the first time she was meeting a boyfriend's parent after years of dating. At the same time, Gi Seok was carefully selecting a wedding ring. Gi Seok's father was curious to hear what his future daughter-in-law had to say, but was surprised when Jiang In declared that she wasn't going to marry Gi Seok. He was taken aback but didn't react outwardly. Jiang In explained that her decision was based on her own personal reasons. After meeting Gi Seok's father, Jiang In went to the library. There, she found Yunwoo crying because he couldn't find his dad. Gently, Jiang In hugged and comforted the little boy. Jai Ho arrived shortly after and, seeing this scene, felt a sense of relief. Yunwoo told his dad he wasn't scared because Jiang In was there. Jai Ho asked, "Why do you like Jiang In?" The boy replied that she was very kind. Then, Yunwoo asked his dad, "Do you like Jiang In?" Jai Ho couldn't deny it in front of his son. Elsewhere, although Gi Seok's father knew Jiang In had no intention of marrying his son, he kept silent when he saw him. He only warned his son that this woman wasn't someone he could easily control. However, his father's words only strengthened Gi Seok's resolve to pursue Jiang In. He held the engagement ring he had just bought, called Jiang In, and told her he was coming to the library. After hanging up, Jiang In immediately ran to Jai Ho and told him she was reading with Yunwoo. She said Jai Ho was coming, and they needed to leave through the back door. Her words angered Jai Ho. He was willing to sacrifice everything for Jiang In, but he couldn't allow Yunwoo to be a part of that sacrifice. It was unfair to his son. After his outburst, Jai Ho took Yunwoo and left. Before leaving, Yunwoo gave Jiang In a dinosaur sticker he had been playing with. Gi Seok then ran into Jai Ho at the library entrance. Realizing Jai Ho was also there to see Jiang In, his tone was laced with displeasure. However, Jai Ho didn't shy away from him. Fortunately, Yunwoo's presence kept the two rivals from escalating the situation. Gi Seok even feigned kindness by offering Yunwoo some money for snacks. Looking at the dinosaur sticker Yunwoo had given her, Jiang In felt a pang of sadness. She realized her words had hurt Jai Ho. Facing Gi Seok, Jiang In suddenly apologized and ran out of the library to find Jai Ho. He had already driven away. Seeing his girlfriend chase after another man, Gi Seok felt a deep ache in his heart. Jiang-in, unable to find Jai-ho, walked back towards Gi-seok, but he coldly brushed past her. It was then that Jiang-in realized she might lose both Jai-ho and Gi-seok. More than the guilt she felt towards Gi-seok, she was heartbroken over hurting Jai-ho. When questioned by Yong-ju, Jiang-in finally confessed that Jai-ho was a single father. Yong-ju felt a headache coming on. A woman about to get married and a single father in many people's eyes, their relationship was unsuitable and unlikely to bring happiness. Back home, a dejected Jai-ho recounted the blind date his mother had arranged. Both his parents wanted him to settle down, but then he revealed that the woman he loved was single and childless. Upon hearing this, his mother immediately told him to give up. In her eyes, Jai-ho couldn't expect someone with no experience to understand and accept his situation. Moreover, who would want their daughter to marry a man with a child, condemning her to hardship? His mother's words made Jai-ho feel even more like giving up. As a father, he couldn't help but worry about his son, and his and Jiang-in's circumstances were vastly different. Perhaps they couldn't truly empathize with each other. Seeing Jai-ho constantly distracted, his co-worker offered advice again. According to his co-worker, the thing children hate to hear most is, "Dad sacrificed everything for you." Would Yoon-woo be happy when he grows up knowing his father gave up his true love just for him? The co-worker's advice left Jai-ho feeling conflicted. Adult love truly wasn't easy. Jiang-in was anxious about receiving a call from Jai-ho, and equally anxious about not receiving one. Just then, Jai-ho called. They met again at the park. To Jiang-in's surprise, Jai-ho didn't seem angry. He wasn't there to reproach her, but simply because he missed her. Yes, Jai-ho had resolved to stop overthinking and live for love. On a gentle and intoxicating spring evening, Jai-ho formally confessed his feelings to Jiang-in for the first time. He truly loved her very much. She had also stuck the dinosaur sticker Jai-ho gave her onto her phone case. It was her way of offering him the greatest comfort. That night, the breeze was gentle and perfect. They walked side by side, their footsteps gradually falling into sync. Meanwhile, after discovering his girlfriend had feelings for someone else, Gi-seok couldn't stay calm and was constantly distracted. He stopped helping his brother-in-law with a loan he had promised. Finally, Gu obtained Jai-ho's address, wanting to confront his romantic rival. This time, Jai-ho didn't flinch but drove home. He told Jiang-in on the phone that he would face Gi-seok head-on. When rivals meet, sparks fly. Gi-seok drove with Jai-ho to the park to talk. Jai-ho's friends were worried they might fight, but they were wrong. Gi-seok didn't push too hard. He just questioned Jai-ho about his relationship with Jiang-in. Jai-ho honestly recounted the entire process of how they met and fell in love, expressing his determination not to let her go. However, Gi-seok wasn't giving up either. He said that Jai-ho would only make Jiang-in unhappy, while he, on the other hand, would not. This statement only heightened the tension. Jai-ho told Gi-seok that the reason he came to see him, besides expressing his commitment to Jiang-in, was to demand fairness for himself. Jai-ho knew Gi-seok looked down on him for being a single father. He had even mocked him in public several times, claiming he didn't deserve a good woman. But this time, Jai-ho didn't hesitate to say he knew what everyone, including Gi-seok, thought of him, but he didn't care. Precisely because he was a single father, he had the courage to face the world. Jai-ho's attitude took Gi-seok completely by surprise. In the end, he couldn't retort and left abruptly. It was clear that this time, Jai-ho had won. After meeting Jai-ho, Gi-seok went to see Jiang-in. Even though his girlfriend's betrayal was a fact, Gi-seok still tried to deceive himself, wanting to forget everything and start over with Jiang-in. He declared he wouldn't let her go, even saying that Jiang-in's feelings for Jai-ho were just pity. Therefore, he wouldn't let the woman he loved jump into the fire pit of a single father's life. After Gi-seok left, Jiang-in called Jai-ho to ask about the outcome of the conversation. Perhaps having been through so much, Jai-ho on the other end of the line was very calm. He hoped Jiang-in would sort out her relationship with Gi-seok and then slowly come to him. No matter how long it took, he would wait for her. After officially confirming his relationship with Jiang-in, Jai-ho was always smiling, and all his worries seemed to disappear. What he looked forward to every day was meeting Jiang-in after work. One evening while having coffee, Jiang informally confessed her love to Jai-ho. Jai-ho, like a child, couldn't hold back his tears. At that moment, he realized he couldn't lose this woman. However, adult love is often tied to two families. Jai-ho expressed his determination to marry Jiang-in to his father. But since their previous encounter, his father had begun to suspect their relationship. Jiang-in informed her mother about the breakup. Her mother asked for the reason, and Jiang-in only said that she liked another man, but didn't have the courage to tell her mother that the man she liked was a single father. Her mother understood and sympathized, but her father wasn't the same. He scolded his daughter loudly, asking what Gi-seok lacked that made him unworthy of her. Indeed, in terms of family background, Gi-seok's family was far superior to Jiang-in's. But for Jiang-in, she loved a warm-hearted man. This statement angered her father even more. He thought his daughter was lost in a fantasy love story. Jiang-in had a very stubborn personality. Even if the whole world turned its back on her, she would resolutely stay with her true love. Jai-ho was equally resolute. He declared to his parents that he would marry the woman he loved. His mother couldn't accept his decision, thinking it was selfish of him, considering he already had a child and marriage wasn't a simple matter. Contrary to Jiang-in's family, Jai-ho's supporter was his father. Jai-ho opened up his heart to him, sharing his deepest thoughts. He confessed the pain and struggles in this relationship, how he had considered giving up but ultimately couldn't. He realized that instead of hiding and being weak, he would face everything with strength. This time, he wouldn't back down. His father nodded slightly, pleased to see his son's decisive and strong return. He asked Jai-ho about the woman. Jai-ho replied that she was the first person to see him simply as a normal person and would be the last woman in his life. Late one night, Jai-ho texted Jiang-in, and she quickly ran downstairs. Jai-ho was waiting for her. Seeing him, she didn't hesitate to hug him tightly. It was the first time they had embraced under the quiet sky. The lovers sat hand in hand on a park bench. Then they kissed, marking the beginning of a romantic love story. Late at night, they went to a restaurant, happily eating cake, talking, and laughing. Finally, they left hand in hand. However, this scene was clearly witnessed by Gi-seok. Facing him, neither Jai-ho nor Jiang-in backed down. Gi-seok angrily questioned Jiang-in why she treated his words like air. But in Jiang-in's eyes, they had already broken up, and Gi-seok was just trying to cause trouble. Gi-seok again declared that Jiang-in only felt pity for Jai-ho, not love. At that moment, Jai-ho lunged forward, ready to fight. But Gi-seok wasn't backing down either and yelled back. Fortunately, the restaurant staff intervened in time, preventing a brawl. After this incident, the bond between Jiang-in and Jai-ho grew stronger. They both promised not to hold back anymore, even if it meant sacrificing everything. They would face every challenge head-on. That night, Jai-ho took Jiang-in to the laundromat his parents owned. In that small, quiet space, the lovers talked about the past, the future, and about each other. They were determined to stay true to their hearts and be each other's unwavering support. After their conversation at the laundromat, they went back out onto the streets, holding hands and embracing as they strolled, enveloped in love. Meanwhile, tonight, Gi-seok was miserable again. He drank to forget his sorrow. He couldn't understand why he was inferior to Jai-ho, and why Jiang-in would love a single father. After getting drunk, Gi-seok called his father, questioning why he hadn't told him about the content of their previous meeting. His father could smell the alcohol on his breath over the phone, but didn't tell his son that Jiang-in didn't want to marry him, wanting to protect his son's pride. However, looking at his son, he realized that even though he was a grown man, he lacked Jiang-in's maturity. Clearly, Gi-seok had no intention of giving up. The next day, Gi-seok asked Jiang-in's older sister, Seo-in, to meet and revealed that Jiang-in's boyfriend was a single father. He hoped Seo-in would help him eliminate his rival. Seo-in was very worried and immediately called Jiang-in home to inquire about the situation. Just then, Jai-ho arrived to see Jiang-in. Seeing her anxiety, Jai-ho drove to pick her up and comforted her with a hug. Encouraged by Jai-ho, Jiang-in became even more resolute. In front of Seo-in, she frankly expressed her love for Jai-ho. Not only did she love Jai-ho, but she also loved his child. She was very fond of Yoon-woo and wanted to care for him like a mother. Seo-in was moved by her sincerity. She revealed that when she was about to divorce her husband, she discovered she was pregnant. Although initially hesitant because of the baby, Jiang Yin's attitude towards Yunwoo had given her strength in her decision to become a mother. After the conversation with Seo In, Jiang Yin took her sister to meet Jai Ho. This was also the first time Jai Ho met his girlfriend's family. Seo In entrusted Jiang Yin to Jai Ho, and the family support became a significant encouragement for the couple to move forward. The next day, Jiang Yin's mother asked her about the man she liked. Jiang Yin only revealed that he was a pharmacist. She didn't say anything more, knowing her parents wouldn't accept her loving a single father like Jai Ho. However, Gi Seok still wouldn't give up. After failing to persuade Seo In, Gi Seok contacted Jiang Yin's brother-in-law. He had initially supported Jiang Yin and Gi Seok's marriage, so this time, Gi Seok hoped to use his brother-in-law's loan as leverage to mend his relationship with Jiang Yin. But this time, Gi Seok miscalculated. Jiang Yin's brother-in-law was facing a divorce request from his wife. To keep his wife, he decided to change and no longer wanted to borrow money from the bank. The repeated failures left Gi Seok deeply discouraged. As the school principal, Jiang Yin's father felt deeply ashamed. Gi Seok's father had approached him, suspecting Jiang Yin was involved with another man besides Gi Seok. This surprised Jiang Yin's father. Though he denied it vehemently, a seed of doubt had been planted. He rushed to Jiang Yin's home immediately. That evening, Jai Ho arranged for Jiang Yin to meet a longtime pharmacist colleague who had always been supportive of him. Jiang Yin invited Yongju along as well. The two began to weave their lives together, understanding each other better. Through their conversation, they discovered charming quirks about one another, like Jai Ho's habit of lending money to others. Whether small flaws or shining strengths, in the eyes of those in love, everything appeared beautiful. After meeting each other's friends, Jai Ho and Jiang Yin walked home hand in hand. This scene, however, was witnessed by Jiang Yin's father. Mustering her courage, Jiang Yin approached and introduced Jai Ho to her father. But her father's reaction to Jai Ho was icy. He seemed to dismiss him entirely. Sensing the inappropriate timing, Jai Ho decided to leave. Later that night, Jiang Yin's father persisted in urging her to open her door. After he sat down, Jiang Yin suddenly ran out, determined to find Jai Ho. She had promised herself that she wouldn't let him suffer any further hurt. However, when she arrived at his place, he was gone. Returning home, she faced her father's wrath. He demanded she end what he considered an unsuitable relationship. But Jiang Yin wasn't easily swayed. She insisted that she and Jai Ho were simply in a normal relationship, questioning why they should care about others' opinions. Seeing his daughter's resolve, her father softened slightly, attempting to persuade her to stay with Gi Seok. His motives weren't her happiness, but his own gain. If Jiang Yin married Gi Seok, he'd have a chance to join Gi Seok's father's company. He clearly underestimated his daughter's determination. Seeing his daughter's refusal to obey, he left angrily. After her father's departure, Jiang Yin went to Jai Ho's place but didn't find him. Unexpectedly, he was at his parents' house. Jiang Yin was about to leave when Jai Ho gave her his gate code and told her to go inside. Hesitating briefly, she entered the code and stepped into his home. The moment she did, she knew they couldn't be apart. Meanwhile, Jai Ho was rushing home. When he received Jiang Yin's text asking if she could cook him ramen, he felt immense happiness. Upon his arrival, they embraced tightly, sharing a passionate kiss. Reading passages of love poetry together, they realized they had fallen completely in love. From that day forward, a romantic routine began. Jai Ho would specifically take Jiang Yin to the park before work. They'd have breakfast together in the sunshine. He'd capture photos of her beautiful face. In the evenings, they'd video call, even Yunwoo would join. Perhaps some things are truly destined. Jiang Yin grew increasingly fond of Jai Ho and more loving towards Yunwoo. In contrast to their blossoming love and genuine connection, Gi Seok fared poorly. Despite the deteriorated state of his relationship with Jiang Yin, he maintained a facade of normalcy in public, bearing his sorrow privately. Even though Gi Seok's father had overheard Jiang Yin say she wouldn't marry his son, he believed nothing was final until it was over. Because his son was still meeting with Jiang Yin's father to facilitate the marriage, Jiang Yin's father lied, claiming his daughter's relationship with another man was just a rumor. This allayed Gi Seok's father's suspicions. The two fathers even began planning the wedding date. urging Gi Seok to choose a day quickly. However, a sense of unease lingered within Gi Seok. He didn't tell his father that Jeong-in had fallen in love with someone else. But for Jeong-in, the ideal person to marry was only Jae-ho. Though still in the early stages of their relationship, they were already preparing for a future marriage. Yeong-ju reminded Jeong-in that Jae-ho was a single father. This meant that if Jeong-in married him immediately, she would become a mother and to a child not her own. The pressure and responsibility were immense. Jeong-in understood all of this and had considered it deeply. She was ready to accept everything that lay ahead. However, the obstacles facing the couple remained significant. Determined to marry off his daughter to Gi Seok quickly, Jeong-in's father arranged a meeting with him. He feigned ignorance of his daughter's change of heart. Gi Seok, in turn, lied, claiming the relationship with the other man was a misunderstanding. Jeong-in's father suggested Gi Seok choose a wedding date. However, Gi Seok deflected, suggesting Jeong-in's father should choose, hoping to use him to mend the fractured relationship. Learning of the meeting, Jae-ho felt uneasy. Yeong-ju reminded Jeong-in that Gi Seok wouldn't give up easily, and neither would their fathers. Jeong-in warned Jae-ho about her father's difficult and stubborn personality. After calming down, Jae-ho decided to proactively meet with Gi Seok, anticipating that Gi Seok might tell Jeong-in's father about his status as a single dad. He didn't want Jeong-in to be embarrassed. It was his story to tell, if it needed telling. Jae-ho's attitude reassured Jeong-in. They resolved to face any challenge together. That afternoon, Jae-ho left work early to meet Gi Seok. Meanwhile, Jeong-in went to see Gi Seok's father again. Unbeknownst to her, he had been secretly investigating her, even hiring someone to take photos of her and Jae-ho together, including a picture of Jae-ho holding his child. Gi Seok's father knew the truth. Jeong-in's sole purpose in meeting him was to hope he'd oppose the marriage. She explicitly stated her relationship with Gi Seok was beyond repair. However, to Jeong-in's surprise, Gi Seok's father reacted unexpectedly. In his view, feelings of love were fickle and could change at any time. Jeong-in realized he still wanted her and his son to be together, leaving her deeply disappointed. Meanwhile, Jeong-in's father was delighted with Gi Seok, even referring to him as his future son-in-law. Jeong-in knew her relationship with Jae-ho would face many trials. One morning, Jae-ho called Jeong-in. From her responses, he guessed what had transpired but reassured her that it was all right. He was prepared for these difficulties. He also expressed his desire to bring her home to meet his parents, a testament to his love for her. Since Yeong-ju lived directly below Jae-ho, Jeong-in often used visiting her as an excuse to see him. This day was no different. Unexpectedly, at Yeong-ju's door, she encountered Jae-ho's mother bringing over her grandson. Jae-ho's mother inadvertently called her Jeong-in and guessed she was the woman her son was fond of. While not entirely thrilled about her son dating a single mother, she was open-minded, and her first impression of Jeong-in was positive. This delighted Jae-ho. Seeing her son and Jeong-in walk away hand in hand, his mother gradually warmed to Jeong-in. However, not all love stories reach a happy ending quickly. Gi Seok called Jeong-in and asked to meet. Upon arrival, she discovered the location was where they first met. At this sentimental spot, Gi Seok gently offered her a wedding ring, hoping she'd reconsider and give him another chance, referencing their shared past. 4 years of love weren't easily discarded. Jeong-in wanted to return the ring, but Gi Seok didn't extend his hand to take it. Feeling her resolve weaken, she didn't resist his embrace. Jae-ho misunderstood the significance of her accepting the ring, suspecting she hadn't let go of Gi Seok. In truth, Jeong-in felt guilty. As Gi Seok had said, they shared 4 years of history, and she had been the one to betray him. She found it difficult to be cruel to him. News of Gi Seok's proposal quickly reached Jae-ho. He couldn't focus all day. Finally, he called Gi Seok. Gi Seok agreed to meet, both knowing it was a declaration of war. At the meeting, Jae-ho frankly told Gi Seok he was going public with his relationship with Jeong-in. Gi Seok, however, remained unconcerned, scoffing. He believed Jeong-in's family would never accept a single father. Jae-ho saw through Gi Seok's thinking and urged him to stop the pointless game. For him, the crucial factor wasn't Jeong-in's family's acceptance, but Jeong-in's, and that was enough. Jeong-in heard from friends that Jae-ho had met with Gi Seok. They also told her that Jai-ho was a responsible man, worthy of her trust. Jiang-in went to Yong-ju's house to wait for Jai-ho to return. She still hadn't figured out how to explain to Jai-ho about accepting Gi-seok's wedding ring. Without giving it much thought, Jiang-in hurried upstairs, rang Jai-ho's doorbell. Jai-ho was showering and told her to wait, but impatient, Jiang-in entered the code and went straight inside, hiding in a corner and surprising him with a hug. Jiang-in explained that she accepted the ring out of guilt towards Gi-seok. She admitted to being selfish in the past, but since being with Jai-ho, she'd learned to be more understanding. Although she felt bad for Gi-seok, she couldn't refuse the ring when faced with him. Jai-ho wasn't angry. On the contrary, her explanation made him love her even more. They spent the night at Jai-ho's, lost in each other's company. However, Gi-seok had no intention of giving up. He even planned to meet with Jiang-in's close friend, Yong-ju. Yong-ju told Jiang-in about this and explained Gi-seok's mindset. She realized he wasn't bothering Jiang-in out of love, but out of resentment at having what he considered his, taken by someone he deemed inferior. Yong-ju worried that if Gi-seok continued, their relationship would become public and face opposition. Indeed, Gi-seok's actions were suffocating Jiang-in, especially when he started using her family to pressure her. She told him point-blank that Yong-ju wouldn't see him again and that she was determined to go public with her relationship with Jai-ho. Gi-seok still wouldn't give up, promising to drop everything if she returned to him. After the call, he rushed to find her, but she wasn't home. He figured she might be at Jai-ho's, so he called him. Meanwhile, Jai-ho and Jiang-in were happily doing chores at his place, ignoring Gi-seok's call. Ever since Jiang-in told her mother she had a boyfriend, her mother had been trying to find out about him. Both Seo-in and Jiang-in knew that Jai-ho was a single father, but to protect Jiang-in, they hadn't told their mother the whole truth, only warning her to be prepared. Seeing her daughter's evasiveness, their mother guessed part of the truth and assumed the man must have some flaw. One day, Jiang-in's mother visited the library again to ask about him. Jiang-in hesitated but finally told her the truth. Her mother couldn't immediately accept it. Seeing her mother's hesitant expression, Jiang-in burst into tears, confessing her love for Jai-ho. She insisted he was a good man and hoped her mother would meet him. Her mother realized Jiang-in intended to marry him. Though worried, her eyes couldn't hide her disappointment. Missing Jiang-in, Jai-ho left work early and went to the library to find her. He found her crying alone in the screening room. Jai-ho's sudden appearance made Jiang-in quickly wipe away her tears. He promised her he wouldn't let her cry again. In the screening room, they held hands and kissed, lost in each other. Leaving the library, Jai-ho noticed Gi-seok following them. Arriving at her door, he made an excuse to send Jiang-in inside before confronting Gi-seok. Despite seeing Jiang-in living with Jai-ho, Gi-seok remained in denial. Jai-ho understood Gi-seok was trying to protect his fragile ego. When Gi-seok arrived, Jiang-in rushed downstairs to face him. No matter how much Gi-seok tormented her, she would endure it, seeing it as the price for hurting him. But she absolutely wouldn't allow him to hurt Jai-ho. Gi-seok was stubborn. He knew Jiang-in wasn't easily swayed, but that made it harder to accept defeat by a man he considered inferior in every way. It was a matter of pride. Returning home, Gi-seok begged his father to offer Jiang-in's father a good job within their corporation, hoping to pressure her into marrying him. While Gi-seok continued his schemes, Jiang-in and Jai-ho's love deepened. One day, they took Yun-woo out together, looking like a real family of three. Jiang-in took a photo of them, suggesting Jai-ho replace the picture on his nightstand with it. Jai-ho understood this meant she wanted to be his wife, Yun-woo's mother. He agreed, but worried about the hurt she might face. Seeing his concern, Jiang-in sought Yun-woo's help. Yun-woo adored Jiang-in and readily accepted her as a mother. Yun-woo's sweetness broke down Jai-ho's last defenses. In a flower-filled garden, Jai-ho and Jiang-in embraced tightly. However, Jai-ho's parents worried about Jiang-in becoming his wife. They questioned whether she would be good to their grandson and feared Jai-ho would suffer another heartbreak like his first love. Jiang-in's family also faced turmoil. Her mother remained hesitant about her daughter being with a single father. Jiang-in's two older sisters urged their mother to meet Jai-ho, emphasizing this affected Jiang-in's lifelong happiness. Meanwhile, Gi-seok anonymously sent photos of Jiang-in and Jai-ho together to Jiang-in's father. who furiously demanded her return. Her mother secretly called, advising her to run away with Jai-ho. Upon receiving this call, Jeong-in decided to confront her father alone. As expected, he angrily berated her upon her arrival. However, Jeong-in remained firm, declaring her intention to marry Jai-ho. This further enraged her father. Seeing her resolve, he reluctantly compromised, saying she didn't have to marry Gi Seok and he wouldn't interfere with her career choices regarding Gi Seok's company. But he forbade her from being with a single father. The conversation ended tensely, and Jeong-in left, heartbroken. Jai-ho was waiting for her downstairs. Leaning on Jai-ho's shoulder, Jeong-in confided that she hadn't been afraid during the confrontation, feeling empowered by him. However, their family's disapproval remained their biggest burden. Jai-ho shared his worries with his colleagues at the pharmacy. He truly wanted to marry Jeong-in but feared alienating her from her family. A colleague advised him that instead of enduring for each other, they should strive together. Enlightened, Jai-ho called Jeong-in, promising she wouldn't face things alone anymore. Suspecting Gi Seok's father orchestrated the photos, Jeong-in decided to confront him, demanding Gi Seok's presence. She asked for the film to be returned, wanting no further connection with Gi Seok. He still hadn't given up, hoping she would return. This time, Jeong-in returned the ring, a definitive symbol of severing their relationship. On her way home, Jeong-in bumped into Jai-ho, who was about to hail a cab. They exchanged glances at the intersection and embraced on the corner, utterly happy. Unbeknownst to them, Gi Seok persisted. He retrieved the photos and, with his pride shattered, confronted Jeong-in. Resorting to any means, he offered to secure a prestigious position for her father in his company if she returned to him, urging her to consider how to restore peace between their families. Jeong-in's new family was Gi Seok's final card, but it held no power over her. She refused to yield. Despite her unwavering stance, the issue remained unresolved, causing both families continued distress. Jeong-in's mother worried incessantly, visiting the library and lurking outside the pharmacy, hoping to see her. When Jeong-in texted an apology, then cried, it was clear her choice, though driven by love, was causing her mother pain. Meanwhile, Jai-ho's mother worried about her son. She visited his colleague at the pharmacy, inquiring about Jeong-in. She feared Yoon-woo's mother, Jai-ho's ex, might resurface, demanding custody or making unreasonable requests, potentially ruining his life. She also understood marriage involved two families, worrying whether Jeong-in's family would accept her son, and Yoon-woo. She resolved to raise Yoon-woo herself if Jeong-in's family didn't accept him, sparing her son and future daughter-in-law further trouble. Jai-ho's colleague reassured her, saying although she didn't know Jeong-in personally, she sensed she was a strong and courageous woman based on Jai-ho's accounts. She believed they would overcome their difficulties. Unbeknownst to Jai-ho's mother, Jeong-in's mother overheard their conversation at the cafe. After their conversation ended, Jeong-in's mother purposely followed Jai-ho's mother to the bus stop and saw her secretly wiping away tears. Jeong-in's mother understood that at this moment, both women surely shared the same feelings. She approached, introduced herself, and although the two were strangers, perhaps because of their shared emotions, they looked at each other, tears welling up, then smiled. Jeong-in's mother even took Jai-ho's mother's hand in comfort. Jai-ho's co-worker told him about his mother's encounter with Jeong-in's mother and how she expressed her worries about his ex-girlfriend. Jai-ho could imagine how anxious and uneasy his mother must be, but he was even more worried than she was. Over the years, although unspoken, he had always feared his ex-girlfriend would return and try to take Yoon-woo. That pressure and insecurity suddenly erupted that night, leading Jai-ho to drink heavily. Hearing Jai-ho return, Jeong-in rushed to his house. Jai-ho had placed a photo of the three of them on his nightstand. Upon seeing Jeong-in, Jai-ho asked if she would also abandon him and Yoon-woo one day. He also asked if he could trust her, if he could believe she wouldn't change her mind. Though she knew these were just drunken words, Jeong-in still felt a pang of sadness. Did Jai-ho truly not trust her? Jeong-in's friend tried to explain that Jai-ho only said those things because he was worried about his ex-girlfriend, but this only hurt Jeong-in more. That night, Jeong-in angrily left, wondering what she truly meant to Jai-ho. Arriving home, she found Gi Seok waiting outside, also drunk. He pleaded for another chance. Jeong-in asked him if he could still trust her even though she had betrayed him once. Gi Seok's answer was yes. Two men, one who didn't trust her, and one who did, left Jiang-in feeling confused and conflicted. The next morning, Jai-ho woke up having forgotten everything he said to Jiang-in. It wasn't until his friends reminded him that he realized he'd hurt her. Because of his words, Jiang-in was distracted all day. She even wondered if Jai-ho hadn't forgotten his first love. Finally, she received a call from him. They agreed to meet at a cafe. Before leaving, Jai-ho, as usual, asked his co-worker at the pharmacy for advice. His co-worker advised him not to avoid the issue and not to expect Jiang-in to understand his past by taking his side, but that they needed to face it together. When he met Jiang-in, Jai-ho frankly admitted he didn't deserve any justification. However, he insisted he had never truly distrusted her. Jiang-in expressed her true feelings. Jai-ho's actions the previous night made her feel like he hadn't moved on from his first love and that she was just a foolish placeholder. Jai-ho confessed he still felt insecure and afraid. That drunken night was when all his insecurities had come pouring out. He couldn't explain further, simply saying, "Don't leave me." Jiang-in understood his insecurities to some extent, but because she loved Jai-ho so much, she couldn't pretend to be unconcerned or carefree. From that night on, their relationship became strained. Jai-ho rushed home but later drove back to Jiang-in's place. He rang the doorbell for a long time, but she didn't open the door. Just then, his son called, urging him to come home quickly. He hesitated before turning to leave. He had no choice. He was, after all, a father, and this was important. Jiang-in's mother came to offer her support. Although she didn't fully understand Jai-ho, after meeting his mother, she could make a preliminary judgment about him. And what mattered most to her was her daughter's happiness. Hearing her mother's encouragement and support, Jiang-in couldn't hold back her tears. She felt lost, unsure if she and Jai-ho could continue together. Compared to Jai-ho's frustration, Gi-seok recently felt a sense of triumph, believing he was closer to his goal. He thought Jiang-in might return to him. He even mocked Jai-ho in front of his friends. They immediately contacted Jai-ho, suspecting Jiang-in might have gone back to Gi-seok. This made Jai-ho instantly anxious. He called Gi-seok and arranged a meeting. No matter what, he couldn't bear the pain of losing Jiang-in. Facing Gi-seok, Jai-ho, as Jiang-in's current boyfriend, demanded he stay away from her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be polite. Furthermore, even if he and Jiang-in didn't end up together, she would absolutely never go back to Gi-seok. Gi-seok knew this, but he remained determined. He didn't really care about reconciling with Jiang-in. He wanted to win against Jai-ho. Of course, if Jiang-in returned to him, it would be the ultimate prize. Why not? Gi-seok also reminded Jai-ho that his mundane romantic gestures couldn't make Jiang-in love him. At this point, Jai-ho finally saw Gi-seok's true colors. He wouldn't back down. Previously, Gi-seok's father had taken pictures of Yoon-woo, and Jai-ho had used this as leverage. If Gi-seok didn't give up on Jiang-in, he would sue him, even resorting to any means necessary to fight to the end. But Jai-ho still underestimated Gi-seok. After his meeting with Jai-ho, Gi-seok immediately arranged for his father to meet with Jiang-in's father. He planned to have his father help Jiang-in's father secure a good position within the conglomerate, hoping to push both families towards quickly deciding on the marriage between Jiang-in and himself. The old saying, "the human heart is unpredictable," held true, as Jiang-in and Jai-ho were constantly thinking of each other. Having not received a call from Jai-ho, Jiang-in decided to go to the pharmacy to find him. She said she needed medicine, the kind you take when you feel sad. Jai-ho didn't reply verbally, but instead responded with a deep, passionate kiss. This affectionate gesture helped the couple unravel all the knots in their hearts. That night, Jai-ho wrote a pledge promising to give up alcohol. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to marry Jiang-in. This romantic commitment became the start of their sweet life together. Jiang-in's mother decided to meet Jai-ho, and Jai-ho decided to bring Yoon-woo along. Jai-ho's parents were a little worried about this. They wondered what kind of man Jiang-in's mother expected, and if bringing his son along was too abrupt. But Jai-ho was resolute. Only with Yoon-woo present could his future mother-in-law see his whole self. This mature and courageous decision reassured his parents. The next day, Jiang-in's mother and two sisters arrived. Although surprised that Jai-ho brought his son, Jiang-in's mother wasn't offended. In fact, she was touched. As a parent herself, she understood Jiang-in's love for her child. She was willing to entrust her daughter to such a responsible man. Seo-in, recently divorced, even asked Jai-ho for advice on single parenting. The whole family welcomed him warmly. Meanwhile, Jeong-in's father's attitude had shifted after his previous argument with his daughter. Gi-seok had arranged for his father and Jeong-in's father to have a meal together, intending for his father to help Jeong-in's father find a good position in the conglomerate. However, now concerned for his daughter's happiness, Jeong-in's father no longer cared about career advancement. He even declared he would let things develop naturally. After drinking, the two fathers argued over their children, even getting into a physical altercation. Unable to persuade Jeong-in's father, Gi-seok went to Jeong-in's mother. He viciously criticized Jai-ho in front of her, even claiming Jai-ho was of poor character for using the secretly taken photos as leverage before. Gi-seok accused Jai-ho of trying to deceive Jeong-in's family and insisted he wanted Jeong-in back purely for his own benefit. However, Jeong-in's mother saw through his manipulations and disregarded his provocations. At this point, Gi-seok realized he had completely failed. He felt dejected and began blaming his father for not helping him. Nevertheless, he declared he would still marry Jeong-in, not out of love, but to protect his pride and his family's reputation. With such a stubborn son, Gi-seok's father didn't know what to say until he heard the news of Jeong-in and Jai-ho's impending marriage. Gi-seok reluctantly admitted defeat. In a last-ditch effort to help his son, Gi-seok's father offered the position of vice chairman of the conglomerate to Jeong-in's father. Unexpectedly, he declined. Finally, father and daughter had a heart-to-heart. Jeong-in understood her father's opposition stemmed from concern for her, but she promised to reassure him that she would be happy. With his daughter's promise, Jeong-in's father finally let go of his stubbornness and decided to support her after all. Gi-seok finally understood and sent a final apologetic text message to Jeong-in. All obstacles had vanished thanks to Jeong-in and Jai-ho's courage and perseverance. From then on, only happiness remained. That night, Jai-ho's two close friends came over for drinks. He had fully intended to keep his promise to Jeong-in, but he couldn't refuse his friend's urging. He drank. Beforehand, he even called Jeong-in and lied, telling her his friends had left and he was about to go to bed. The next morning, Jai-ho, hungover, was caught red-handed by Jeong-in with his two friends. Seeing the scene, Jeong-in immediately tore up the written pledge Jai-ho had made. She pretended to run out, but Jai-ho grabbed her, kneeling down to apologize. Actually, Jeong-in wasn't angry. She just wanted Jai-ho to be honest with her. Whether he drank or not wasn't really a big deal. Seeing Jai-ho acting like a spoiled child, Jeong-in felt both exasperated and amused. Before, because of his child, Jai-ho's habits always made him tense, as if one mistake would make his world collapse. But since meeting Jeong-in, he'd started showing anger, acting childishly, and even now, revealing a naive, childlike side. Perhaps that was the power of love. Not long after, Jeong-in met Jai-ho's parents. In front of her future in-laws, Jeong-in earnestly promised that she and Jai-ho would live happily, understanding each other, and that she would love Yoon-woo wholeheartedly. Jai-ho's parents had already been fond of Jeong-in, and now they were even happier to accept her as their daughter-in-law. Under Jeong-in's supervision, Jai-ho rewrote his pledge, changing "no drinking" to "no lying" to Jeong-in. Jeong-in also wrote a pledge, promising to marry Jai-ho. If she didn't, she would become a ghost woman. That night, in the warm spring air, Jeong-in returned to the pharmacy, playfully recreating the scene of their first encounter. The temperature of that spring night was just romantically warm enough,